Eddie Bussier.
All right.
Eddie Bussier.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you globally. My name is Adibusui Olutayo Olumadewa from DoTheDream Youth Development Initiative and also the team lead of Alliance of Social Transformer for Sustainable Development. Presently now I'm doing this from Lagos, Nigeria, and this is the official side event of the 4th Financing for Development Summit of the United Nations on the 4th Financing for Development of the United Nations, organized by United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs. The Financing for Development is a mechanism that allows the UN to shape the financial architecture of the global world. And basically what they were saying is this: they want to implement a forum and a mechanism that will allow finances to implement and accelerate sustainable development goals, whether in the global north or in the global south. However, the organizations DoTheDream is hosting a side event titled Bridge to the Future. Bridge to the Future, simplifying global financing mechanism. And today we have wonderful and dynamic speakers from different parts of the world joining us for this wonderful event. However, before we start the event, we'd like to just welcome everyone that is joining us from different parts of the world, starting from our speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome some of our speakers to quickly introduce themselves for a few minutes before we start the event proper. Thank you. Over to you, Ati.
Right, thank you. Thank you, Adibusui, for having us here and holding the space to have the discussion that's coming up. I'm joining in from India. I currently serve as the country chair for eco-civilization in India. So we're found in about 50 countries, and I invite you to look it up. Well, I also write for the United Nations Commons Cluster. We've been writing for the high-level political forum for the last 2 years, for the SDG Summit, even the Pact of the Future, some of the really landmark statements that made into the Pact of the Future, thankfully. I also have a family business that I run back in India that's into construction products. So this year we fortunately got the award for being the best materials manufacturer in the sector. So yes, I dabble between public, private spaces, ranging from corporate to the social work to academic to, yes, small scale businesses, manufacturing, energy and whatnot. So lots of spaces to be in as one person, but I enjoy it thoroughly. And yes, back to you, Adibusui. Thank you for having me here.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Afi, for that wonderful introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the world's mayor here as well. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have Joshua Tibetlen introduce yourself before we start the event proper, while we're waiting for more people to join us now. Over to you, Joshua, the world's mayor experience. Over to you.
Blessings, everyone. Thank you so much. My name is Joshua T. Berglund. You know, I'm very fortunate to live the life that I always dreamed of, but it started from a very unusual place. But I'm going to get into that when I speak. But a little bit about me. I'm an international best-selling author. I've written 10 books, published more. I'm an award-winning filmmaker, voiceover artist, and blah, 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 all those fun things. But in the end, you know, while I could have taken those skills and those things and gone a different route, my heart is for the underserved communities around the world, to be able to give them an opportunity to live the life they dreamed of. And that is my soul's mission, and I am blessed to be here. Thank you. Would someone talk?
Thank you, your wonderful introduction. It's wonderful to be here. It's wonderful to have you here. And also some of our participants would like to hear from you to have your introduction before we go into the event proper. Some of our participants, I would like to call on Ashish Punta. If you can just say, introduce yourself to the whole world for this session.
Yeah, hi, this is Ashish. So nice to be here. Thanks. Yeah.
All right, Ashish, thank you so much for that wonderful one. If I'm going to, I would like to call on Christina to introduce yourself as well. Christina.
Plug your book.
Christina, can you introduce yourself just for us to know who you are? Thank you.
Hi, yes, it's super early here. It's like 6:30 a.m. in the morning. So, but I'm here to support my friend Joshua, and I'm excited to hear what everybody has to say. I'm in Florida.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, Christina. That's wonderful. That's what we call collaboration on the run. Thank you so much. Also, okay, what about Lori Johnston? We'd love to just hear from you, Lori Johnston, before we kick off this session. Lori Johnston, can we just have your introduction? Okay, she can't. All right, thank you. Dr. Chu, Dr. Chandra Hugh. All right.
As you can't say my name, I can't say yours. So we are quite even there. Good to have met you,
It's
Joshua.
awesome.
So I'm here to support Aarti in everything she does, and also the UN Commons cluster work. So I think in the last 5 years, I have more friends in Africa than in India. So my heart is in Africa. I think I need to do more stuff there. I'm glad to be here. I want to listen to and take some notes of what we should be doing next.
All right, thank you. Amina Hussein. Amina Hussein. Just a brief introduction of your personality. Amina Hussein. All right. All right. Ashish Punter.
Yeah, hi. I see. I'm a project designer, and I design large schemes for communities, for governments, and things like that. So that's my specialization. I've designed, Mr. Narendra Modi's Gati Shakti project, which is India's largest infrastructure, finance, and implementation project. So I've designed stuff like that. I've also designed large schools. So that's what I do, actually.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ashish Punta. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start right away. My name is Adebusui Olutayo Olumadewa, the founder of Alliance for Social Transformation for Sustainable Development, and also the DoTheDream Youth Development Initiative, and also the team lead of Global Alliance for Women and Girls Are Asset or Girls Are Asset project. In 2023, I was opportunity to join the Financing for Development Forum in the United States, which happens to be the third one. And they were making some resolutions. And I asked myself, if you are talking about the Global South, you want to help Global South, you want to impact Global South, how come the Global South are underrepresented in the all? How come the Global South's voice are being submerged? And how come the Global South are tiny in those you are making recommendations for? So that got me thinking. After the session in New York, I met with the director, the DG of one of the countries to ask him the question, what is the way forward for the Global South in achieving the FFD? And what is the way forward for civil societies? And how can we energize our private sectors to see this as a pathway and a roll call for sustainable development? And some of the key things they were telling me is something that are not really friendly to are not really friendly to civil societies and also to the educational world in achieving sustainable development. And that was what led to us asking this question: how can we bridge the financing aspect? How can we enable more participation from the global south? How can we encourage a lot of young people in Africa, in different parts of the world, to subscribe to sustainable development and come up with evidence-based action that can be measured? How can we encourage the elder generation to see this as a cause worth doing? How can we encourage our government, and how can we work with our government in making this a unique thing for them to behold? And that was what led to our journey in FFD. Few months ago, at the fourth preparatory meeting in the United States, we had the first part of this event. And I said to the people at the congregation at the event, I said, imagine a world where with 5 clicks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you are able to receive all the fundings you require for your project. I said, imagine a world in which with just 5 clicks, you are able to access funding. I said, imagine a world in which with just 5 clicks, you are able to reach out to your government and your government will reach out to you. Why? Because of your evidence actions that is changing the people, that is coming up with your product, that is giving you presence and making your presence, taking you places and giving you power, which is the power of purpose. I said, can we wait a minute and imagine that? And the responses we got from the community, the responses from the God from the audience, the responses from the God from the desert team that present shows us that bridging and simplifying financial mechanism is possible and it is achievable if we can actually work together and see this as an urgent cause. And that's what led to us having this wonderful side event, which is an official side event of the fourth financing for development, which the report will be submitted and will be followed up based on the recommendation and some of the ideologies and ideas that has been implemented so that we can have a seamless product that enable cross-country, cross-continent, and cross-businesses collaborations globally. So ladies and gentlemen, man and woman, young and old, I'm glad to welcome you to the official side event organized and championed by DoTheDream for the financing for development. I say thank you so much. As I welcome our first speaker for today, Joshua C. Berglund, to have the floor. Over to you, Joshua.
Thank you all. Appreciate you very much. My name is Joshua T. Berglund, and I'm Vice President of Growth and Development for DoTheDream Youth Development Initiative. I'm also the founder of the World's Mayor Experience and the creator of the Bridge to Media Empowerment Centers. I'm here today representing a unified mission, a powerful alliance between these organizations, because we believe collectively that we can build a better future. But before I talk about that future, I want to share a piece of my own story. Not long ago, my world was confined by the walls of disability, trauma, and homelessness. I was told, in ways both spoken and unspoken, that my voice didn't matter. But in the midst of that darkness, I found a lifeline. It wasn't a handout, it was a tool. It was the power of independent media. It became my personal bridge from a life of silence to a life of purpose. That journey is the why behind everything I do. It's why I'm so proud to stand with DoTheDream, an organization committed to ensuring that our youth have the tools and opportunities they need to build their own bridges to the future. And today, we all stand before a chasm. It's a divide created by systems that feel too big to change. We see a world of incredibly complex financial mechanisms designed to exclude, not include. We see decisions being made that borrow from our children's future with no plan for repayment. And every single day, we are bombarded by a storm of misinformation that seeks to divide us. That is why our organizations have come together to talk about building the bridge to the future, a future founded on three foundational pillars. First, we must simplify our financing mechanisms and leverage technology. For too long, global finance has been a fortress, open only to a select few. We propose to tear down those walls. By promoting user-friendly digital platforms, we can make the tools of economic empowerment accessible to all. This is the essence of the media company in a box philosophy, a core component of the curriculum we champion at DoTheDream. Just as you no longer need a Hollywood studio to make a film, I'm sorry. Just as you no longer need a Hollywood studio to make a film, you shouldn't need a Wall Street firm to fund a dream. Through our own independent media platforms, we can educate one another. We can use the same blockchain technology that protects a creator's intellectual property to create transparent and secure methods for tracking funding, ensuring that every dollar intended for progress actually fuels progress. Second, we must promote intergenerational equity and foster multi-stakeholder collaboration. Our current path is unsustainable. The bridge to the future is about changing that by integrating long-term sustainability into every decision, combining the wisdom of our elders with the forward-thinking energy of our youth. This is where the Bridge to Media Empowerment Centers come to life. And this is where our partnership with DoTheDream Youth Development Initiative becomes a powerful force for change. These centers are designed to be intergenerational collaboration hubs. Imagine a young person from a DoTheDream program using virtual reality in one of our centers to share the oral histories of their community's elders, preserving that wisdom for generations to come. Imagine youth-led media projects born from these centers, giving a voice to the voiceless and holding corporations and governments accountable. This is omni-media in action, using every tool to build a future that honors both our ancestors and our descendants. Finally, we must align all of our efforts with sustainability goals. This isn't just about being green, it's about a fundamental shift in our values. And media is our most powerful catalyst for that shift. Through their own media companies in a box, the youth in programs like DoTheDream will have the power to advocate for real change. They will create the documentaries that unmask climate truths, like the advocates in my book, Unmasking Humanity. They will host webinars that expose information warfare and challenge the narratives that hold us back. They will bypass the traditional gatekeepers who profit from the status quo and speak directly to the people, mobilizing a global community for change. I am living proof that that is possible. My life was shattered, but I rebuilt it with these tools. I wrote my story, The Devil Inside Me, as a raw account of my journey from the depths of addiction and abuse to a life of purpose. The World's Mayor Experience and the Bridge to Media Empowerment curriculum were born not from theory, but from necessity. I know if these tools can empower a disabled, once homeless man to find his voice, they can empower anyone. So I, alongside the incredible team at DoTheDream Youth Development Initiative, am not just here to talk about a vision. We are here with a call to action. The bridge to the future is not a distant dream. It is a practical, achievable reality. It is a curriculum, a toolkit, and a movement we are building together. Look around you. We are the architects of what comes next. Each of us has a story. That is your media company in a box, waiting to be opened. The bridge to our future won't be built by a handful of powerful people in closed-door meetings. It will be built by millions of us, together, united in purpose. It will be built with our stories, our courage, and the media tools that are now finally in the hands of us all. Let's start building. Thank you.
So nice. Excellent. Excellent, Joshua. Really loved your talk.
Wow, that's an excellent, wonderful, magnificent presentation from Joshua. Afi, what can you just say about what you just heard now? What can you say? What can you just say about what you just heard now?
I think my finger was constantly on the heart button. Everything that Joshua was saying, literally, I wanted to throw those hearts at him. Because this is about painting a picture. This is about really articulating the as is. And given the as is, understanding the as is very important for us to visualize what can be, right? So we are collectively stuck in a sort of a limbo, what I'm recently calling as the intellectual stupor, because we're not able to figure out which direction to move ahead in. We're looking to be funded, but the fund is controlled by a certain system. How do we understand that system? How do we not be unaware of it any longer so that we can start taking the right decision individually in the context of our communities, in the context of our nations, in the context of humanity in the future? So I think that is what I hear from Joshua. He's literally listed out everything that we need to pay attention to and together. Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Ati, for that wonderful course. Joshua has a way of simplifying the role of human and machine together. And he has a way of blending it together so that the world can actually run with. And for us, that's what the essence of this session is all about. Because everything we're going to be sharing here, there's going to be a call to action. And not just call to action verbally, it's going to be tangible, that will encourage AFI to actually work with from India to Africa, from India to South Africa, from India to Nigeria, or from Christina, from Florida to Nigeria, from Florida to India, because there is a centralized, simplified forum that allows this to take place. So thank you so much, Joshua T. Birdland, for that wonderful presentation. Over to you, Hamin. Okay, Ashish, over to you.
Yeah.
Ashish,
Yeah.
over to
Hi.
you. Thank you.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me? I have got a scheme for raising very large amounts of capital, and I have used it to finance, as a tool to finance Mr. Narendra Modi's very large, infrastructure construction program in India. It's called urban equity withdrawal. Okay, and I'll just in a minute I'll just run you through what it means. Now, in India, we have got close to 1.25 trillion US dollars that are stuck in, it's basically value trapped in our cities. Okay, so I'll give you an example of the first such project that was implemented in Mumbai. And it was suggested in Mumbai, this project. This was a project by Larsen and Toubro. It was regarding a 93-acre plot in the heart of the city. Larsen and Toubro told the government that we will put in around something like $6 billion into the project. Okay, and they needed enhanced FSI on that land. So if the FSI, which is currently 1.4, is increased to 4.5, 5, it allows a large amount of capital release. So L&T told the government, I'll put the numbers in rupees, so that's, you can convert it to dollars later at the rate of 80 rupees to a dollar. But I'll just give you the numbers. L&T told the government that we'll invest 30,000 crores in the project. You give us the FSI, we will sell the property at 1,20,000 crores, and we'll give the government back 70,000 crores in cash. To me, this was in 2015 that L&T came up with this project. And to me, it looked like the plan of a fast breeder nuclear reactor because it generates more cash than it consumes. That's what a breeder reactor does, right? So there's so much money trapped across Africa. If we look at let's look at a project, let's say in Nigeria, right? And you look at Lagos in Nigeria. Now you look at let's look at a plot that is a couple of, let's say, around 15 to 20 acres in the heart of the city. If you were to raise the FSI on that land and you were to release that capital, it will release a huge amount of development capital for doing schools, hospitals, and things like that in Nigeria. So it is possible to replicate this model across the world. And mind you, this thing has come, it's a World Bank concept. The Chinese have used this same thing of urban equity withdrawal to triple the size of the Chinese economy from close to around, at that time, I'm talking 2008, it was something like a $4.5–5 trillion. The Chinese have used urban equity withdrawal to triple the size of their economy to 12, and now it's close to 17 or 18 trillion. So it's a very powerful concept. It has been used, and I can very easily design a project that could release that capital anywhere in the world. So it can always be planned. If you can add elements to it. So basically, you add elements of net zero elements. You add any kind of element you want. Women's development. You add any kind of element. It can just be put into the project. So it's very easy to assemble something like this. And since capital, I would not talk about getting the capital from the United States or from the first world. I said, you got this capital within your cities. Just make a mechanism to unlock it, and you got the thing done. Yeah.
Wonderful. Awesome. We're going to come to that. Please drop your email in the comment. Let's take this forward. It's wonderful. And that's the essence of this. Ladies and gentlemen, it's over to you. Iko, you have the floor. Ati, rather. Hathi, you have the floor. Ladies and gentlemen, man and woman, young and old, it's time to welcome Hathi. Hathi, you have the floor now.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Adibase. And I quite agree with Ashish that, unlocking the local resource, unlocking the wealth in the local resource, I think the kind of consensus building that we require at the ground level is the fundamental issue here. Because, well,
awesome.
Let me actually share.
Awesome. Yeah. 1 minute. Just as you said, we have a project on local action for accelerating sustainable development. Just to buttress your point. Local action is the key. Thank you. Over to you. And ladies and gentlemen, we have Hathi.
All right.
You're online now. Go ahead, please.
Brilliant. Thank you. Could you also give me the screen share rights, Adibase? I don't have the screen share rights.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. You should have it now.
Yes. So while we are trying to imagine what the future can look like, I used AI because I'm not getting the right picture. So I'm trying to feed my idea of what the future can look like, how immersed and integrated it should look like. I'm seriously not getting any perspective on that, even from AI. So I'm literally spending hours and hours keying in these words to figure out a more balanced, a more lifelike, realistic blend of everything that is up there in the air. How does all of that land together? So here goes. We are talking about what will bridge us to the future. And I think this kind of a space has to be held not only because, we are at the 4th International Conference, but I think it has to start becoming a lot more mainstream discussion and gathering. And let's look at the agenda that, DoTheDream has set for us, because they are based out of a country that is, I think we will get into the numbers as we go along as to where we are and why we are here. So I think the agenda that's been set is that you as the solutionist. So what does that really mean? Do I look at just myself? Am I looking at mankind collectively? Am I looking at countries collectively? Who is this you? Let's explore that. But before we actually explore that, let us look at the context in which we need to understand the us. The context is here. At this development conference, we are looking to integrate 4 of the biggest declarations that have been tabled and signed. So what is it leading up to as far as this conference is concerned? I'd like to reflect a little bit on that so that we know what are we up against. Domestic resource mobilization, official development assistance, all of these items that you see under the themes have been central across these gatherings. As far as the Finance for Development 2025 is concerned, my focus is on the last two, because this is where the money is globally. So when we're looking at private finance, when we're looking at investments, when we're looking at debt sustainability and relief, we're looking at, if you focus on what happened at Monterrey, what was discussed, something called the heavily indebted poor countries, which are 35 in number, out of which 34 are in Africa. Afghanistan possibly is the only one. And then you have 22 countries strong Paris Club that controls literally all the wealth as far as debt is concerned, as far as sovereign debt is concerned. So when we look at these two particular items, we're still talking about things that are not bold for the future. What is the conference discussing this time? I'd like to spend a little time on that, and not just the solutioning, because this is important. We need to know what is being talked about, because these are the decision makers for all of us. So we are saying that your multilateral development banking, de-risking tools, we need to get more aligned with ESG. Of course, ESG implementation in itself can be found out in all the white text over here, because this is all about value that Ashish was talking about. But this is where the money is. For the first time, we are actually looking at DSA as in the climate context. So literally, if you look at the analysis, US is not even listed under the DSA. All right, we have no US focus, which is the largest financier of the world. It's not even listed. So we're looking at, and which is why we do not find US present this time. Moving on, what is this actually telling us? We are still talking about old money, and old money is not going to unlock the future. We're trying to build a bridge to the future. So this old money, the way it is sitting, the way it is manipulated, the way it is thought about, is not going to move the needle of all these AI images that I've shown you so far. And if what I'm saying is not right, then here is a graph to prove that. If you look at 2022, 2023, this is where we had post-COVID reaction, whereby 650 billion of SDR was unlocked. And what is SDR? This is one of the terms that's being highly spoken about at this conference, something called the special drawing rights, where these 22 countries and partner countries can unlock, unlock liquidity. So 650 billion was unlocked, out of which 66% still remained with the rich countries, and less than 5% went into Africa, 34 countries in Africa. So even now, if you look at this text on the right, we are expecting about 17% of a drop in funding globally. I'd like to sort of take a pause here and get some of the thoughts as they're emerging. How are we viewing this? This is predictive. This is based on who's sitting, who's presenting the facts, who's documenting, who's aggregating that information, who's creating the parameters and indices for us to follow, and all of that. Any thoughts?
I think just to support your, just to add to what you've just said, I would suggest the best way forward is a kind of pilot project. Okay, you choose the destination, you choose where you want to do it, and then we can design a local, urban equity withdrawal scheme, and you say, I want to invest, let's say, $1 billion, unlock $1 billion of financing. How much can $1 billion buy you actually? So, a large, let's say you look at a school project, right? So I'm planning one here in Nashik, so I know the costs in great detail. And this is something that I call a world-class school. So it will, in rupee terms, it costs around around 40 crores for a 30-acre campus, 40 crores for the 30-acre campus. And what this campus does is, let's say you've got 16 teachers, 600 students. You can actually, we are actually overpopulating this particular campus with teachers. So share the teachers in this campus with 25 other schools in its area, which are teaching another 200 children.
Exactly.
And we're using
This is what
ICT
resource
technologies.
pooling is all about, Ashish. We've been talking about resource pooling. We've been talking about commitment pooling. And I think Dr. Chakravarti has already posted a link to Will Ruddick's concept of the grassroots economics, which is again blockchain-based idea of how do you create a local currency and bring that in circulation to facilitate a lot of exactly that the local unlocking, right? So, but that again is of course is definitely the way forward as far as the U is concerned. That you as a solutionist that we're talking about, this is where it's relevant. But this U also needs to have a lot of hands together on deck at the same time. Imagine India took a lot of time. India took a lot of time for somebody like you, Ashish, or somebody like Dr. Chakravarti to possibly come forward and say, hey, let's do this, and actually got that done.
Yes.
It took a lot of time, and Africa possibly is also in the same space in terms of recognizing its own value, its own potential. I mean, look at the Middle East. They have so much of oil and they have so much of resources, and they are like sitting and having a lavish time. Africa is even richer. So I think that power, that control system has to really shift, and it has to shift from within so that, we sort of improve the social fabric, and the nature of participation in these critical decision-making spaces, because that is where it matters. That is where negotiations take place. That is where there's a yay or a nay going. You see, what you're talking about is actually fantastic. It's a template, and we can replicate and literally churn out, development programs and deliver outcomes for sure.
Yeah.
But think about it.
There's 1 second. This project, the school thing that I'm talking about, in dollar terms, it's around 5 million. People impacted would be something like 3,000 to 4,000 people would be impacted with it, creating, so it's a very small thing. It's just $5 million, but the impact is around 3,000, 4,000 people. So, and the resource and the project location would be, the cash would come from an African city, where you're going to create a financial center, for instance. So the city gets a financial center, whereas this huge amount of money flows into the villages. So it actually takes out the money from the city and distributes it in the villages. And you start with a $5 million thing. It's just easily replicable anywhere in Africa.
Brilliant. I think we can definitely explore that with DoTheDream as far as the urban programs.
I can actually share the project to you.
Yeah. Please do. If you have a link to it, Ashish, just drop it in the chat box. I think that would be fantastic. Joshua, I'd like to come to you in terms of looking at the figures that we're talking about here. And of course, Ashish does have a more grassroots solution. But what do you have to say about, what is your perspective or take on this?
It's probably so completely outside of the box of what the actual subject matter is. But when I see this, the thing that rises in my spirit is simply this: we have to look within as opposed to looking for without. And I understand that we need financing, and that's what this is about. But in the end, we have so much ability on our own with the tools that are available that don't cost any money. And so I think that instead of looking, when we were at the UN a month ago, or I guess it was a little over a month ago, the thing we kept hearing over and over and over again was about all of these big, expensive ideas. We need trillions of dollars for this, billions of dollars for that. And the whole time I'm like, why are we overcomplicating this? Because it just takes one person to step up and start doing the right thing, and then others will follow. And if each person looks within and goes, you know what, I can do this on my own. And I'm such a passionate believer in the power of storytelling and the power of tapping into the media tools that are available for free, by the way. I wrote a book. One of my books I wrote was about how you can run a media company for free from your cell phone, because, most of the world doesn't have access to a laptop. So the solutions are there, but we're looking for the investments and all of these big money projects. But simply, we can start with what we have. In other words, being a good steward of what we have, being grateful for what we have. And sometimes the only thing that we have is our story and free media tools, and that's enough to get started. So I look at these numbers. Yeah, I get it. It all makes sense. Makes perfect sense. The world's changing. But at the same time, I think it's time for each individual to step up and take accountability for their own lives. And I trust by stepping into faith and in taking committed action that others will follow, others will come in our path, and then the right kind of collaborations, the right kind of partnerships will happen. I'm not a numbers guy. That's not my expertise. But at the same time, I look at this and going, we are overcomplicating all of this because I believe there's an easier way. It doesn't mean my answer's right. I just believe that we're looking for solutions that are too complicated when it really is more simple than we make it.
Brilliant. Absolutely. So again, these figures are for us to have a context as to this is the landscape that we are up against. But sticking to the agenda of the development conference, we're looking at two areas where we can literally outshine the system that Joshua and Ashish both have been talking about. All right. So innovative financing is definitely something that Ashish spoke about, the urban equity withdrawal. And of course, there are many more systems that one has to also create as far as the local dynamics are concerned. Moving on to the fact that our future is not going to be done by what we have as of today. It cannot be. We really need new wealth to be created. And that wealth creation is exactly looking at the individual potential. I can tell you this, I've worked across very crazy domains ranging from de-radicalization of children in the Jammu Kashmir Valley to kids who were victimized during riots in the far east of the country to a multi-city project where kids were committing suicide because of gaming addiction. I went on to, still holding on to the same thread, and I'm going to tell you in a bit what that thread was. I went up to the United Nations Pact of the Future and got action item 24 listed as looking at transnational organized crime as the root cause of impeding transition, right? So when I look at the thread that I held on to was the fact that we are far too lazy in our social systems to understand what the individual wealth is. What is it that is present inherently in us, and how can that be maximized? That entire lens, that entire system of engagement and tapping is missing from literally every institution of our society. And come to think of it, every institution of our society is actually run based on the financial capability of the nations, of the systems, of communities, and so on and so forth, of individuals. A lot of people have been asking me about these alternate currency systems that form a part of what the UN is calling as innovative financing, like the Bitcoin, like your blockchain-based systems. Now, what are they literally based on? They're based on the first believers. That's where they churn out from. You can apply all sorts of technologies that are present and that are emerging. You can tame technologies of the future to still respond to those fundamental needs at an individual, at a family, at a community level. And one of the projects that I'm doing, we're trying to include unpaid housework and social work as a part of GDP calculation. I can give you the India figures from SBI, one of the leading banks in India. And the figure stands at 7.5% of contribution to national GDP already without being accounted for. So when you look at unlocking local wealth, first of all, let us articulate what the local wealth is. If we need new wealth, if the old money is not moving in the right direction, how do we create or unlock the new wealth? It always and always comes back to the intention of choices, intentions of crafting and contributing to our own institutions. The state of education practically in every country is, I wish I could use the word.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
It's very bad.
So which is the fundamental basis of how societies understand each other, how they sort of seamlessly move from one generation to the other. Now, the whole idea of intergenerational trauma itself as a system is so multi-layered. If we begin to undo those multi-layered intergenerational trauma within the region of Africa itself, I think the whole world is incapable and insufficient. This high-level political forum, we have 17% attendance. The global leadership is exhausted and literally out of its wits, which is why the final verdict on the finance for development 2025 in Spain is that the identified call for action is not bold at all. So where are we lacking? Okay, so I'm tired of saying this, and Dr. Chakravarti has heard me say this like a number of times. I have deep faith and belief in the global technological and financial capability of the world, but what I've always doubted is the intention. We are tool makers since the cave era, since the first time we've realized that we exist. We've been tool makers. We will never fail at that. That's not the question.
So, Aarti, I would suggest you just, I've got another 5 minutes because I've got to go for a meeting. But what I would like to suggest is you choose a pilot project anywhere based on it has got to
Ashish, Nigeria, in fact, is on the cards, and I can tell you this: at COP29, I met the Minister for Environment for River State. Unfortunately, there's so much of political chaos going on that the day we finalized that we're going to move ahead, Dr. Chakravarti was a part of that meeting. The next day, the government was suspended. So you see, at a grassroots level, we need to work at a very, very different, the dynamics are extremely different. We can bring in a lot of project ideas. I think it's ripe for those ideas. It's hungry for those ideas, but the implementation requires a ground level local consensus building. That strengthening is not an easy job. And then that has to sort of, we talk about percolation. I don't know what the reverse is, but it has to go up to the leadership also, the local leadership and then the state level leadership and those.
What I would suggest is you choose one stable country. I mean, I'm sure Africa has got a lot of stable countries. So you choose one stable country. It could be Zimbabwe, for instance. It could be Zambia, sorry, or it could be Egypt. It could be South Africa. So you choose any one stable location. Do this urban equity withdrawal small plan, $5 million plan, and then the whole world will see it. So I would suggest, because look, what we are doing is I'm dealing with the Indian government and we're talking to them at various levels. What has happened is they didn't execute. I had given them this whole scheme around a couple of years ago. They didn't execute it as it was planned, and they lost a huge amount of money on execution. So, so that thing is in the process of being corrected. But the Chinese model has worked. The Chinese model has worked, and it has worked extremely well. So it is not proven in India, but it's proven in China. So I would suggest, we take one small project and we try to execute it anywhere in Africa where this group chooses to do it, and then we just do it. So that's what I would suggest. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I've just got to go now, but I'll be, thanks so much for this platform, and I'll be back with you guys. Yeah. We'll be whenever.
Thanks, Ashish.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Awesome.
Thank you. Bye.
But awesome. Thank you.
Yes, please go on.
I just want to add a little voice to the innovative financing you were talking about the other time, that there's a template in which we are actually working on, a template on 5 Ps. And the essence of those templates is to localize the innovative financing of a thing. We call it from people to product, from product to presence, from presence to places, and from places to power. The quality of your impact draw the attentions of people to you. And once you have a lot majority on your side, you can create a product that's going to help and inspire the SDGs participation and localization. That is going to create a huge presence in the locality we have, and which will actually call for your physical presence, your attention to it. And that's why from people to product, product to presence, and presence to places gives you the power. And the power we are talking about is the power of purpose, the power in which you might be able to scale, the power in which you can actually actualize the SDGs in a local forum where the locations, where the localities and the indigenous people, women, youth can actually own the SDGs. And once people start owning this impact, you are going to realize that there's going to be decentralization of financing. Why? People can come up with their own finance, which might not be a threat to the government. So the government will have no choice than to come up with a policies and a pathway that allows seamless collaboration, seamless contribution, and impact and evidence-based impact that increases their global participation at the UN level. And that's why conversation on this, bridging to the future, matters. So that if such template is happening in India, such template is happening in the United States, such template is happening in Nigeria, you are not anti-government, you are not anti-government policies, and you are not funding terrorism. You are only contributing your quota to make their work evident to the global north and global south, and see that you are a genuine citizen of such country. So that's why the template we are embarking on in adopting innovative financing and also blended financing as well. Absolutely. As we proceed on this thing. Thank you so much.
It is also, I think, the one thing that we need to also understand is like at a local level.
Dr. Chan wants to say something because our thought speaker. Over to you, sir. And over to you, sorry, Afi, you're still having the floor. Ati, it's still your floor.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to add to it that we also need to focus on facilitating market creation at a local level, because till the time, local communities do not have access and control over their own markets, that empowerment is not going to really show the result. They then start becoming a part of the usual system. So I think that's something that we need to also start focusing on. Yes, Dr. Chakradhar, over to you.
Just wanted to ask you, the approach you were suggesting kind of picked up on a process there: start, discover, build, and expand. Can you share some early prototypes, early approaches where it's working and how it's working?
Okay. Oh, all right. I think I sort of minimized my slide, but we can talk about it. Yes. So, okay, there was a project that I had worked on called Be Well. It started somewhere in 2014. And again, completely out of the blue, I was struck by this question that who engages with young people to talk to them about them with them? Where are those systems of engagement where we unpack that for them so that there is some amount of informed thinking that sets in for the child, for the parents, for even the teachers? I literally had no direction. So I just went on the ground. I worked with 50 odd children, and I was literally handwriting the notes and all of that. And it culminated something called the entire Be Well framework, which is both a wish upon the next generation, and it stands for Behavior and Wellbeing Framework. And through this framework, we were actually able to provide a basis, a complete report to parents about their children, to teachers about their work. Because clearly in some of the countries, the only way to understand children is either through the academic report card or something called the horoscope. There's no third narrative created about the child from a behavior point of view, from an emotional construct, from a skills point of view. And this report expanded into some really interesting projects like I spoke about. I worked in Jammu Kashmir. I worked with kids who were caught in terrorism. I actually educated, teachers in that region, working on riot victimization, suicide prevention, even normal life goal clarity that children lack, because parents are just following a certain trend and they don't know any better. So there was a lot of work that went into creating this entire work, and later it pivoted into something called Project Neve, which was to do with prison reform for adolescents stuck in the prison system to avoid from them becoming repeat offenders. Now, all of these dark areas in our society, we lack the systems to address them. We need a structure to address them. So I tried my best to create one. It worked. It's still sort of active and alive. And I'd love to sort of partner with DoTheDream, because this is something that's fundamentally absent in terms of social course correction. Yeah, that.
Oh God.
That's it.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Grateful. And Echo, thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. You know, anytime we'll speak.
Uh-oh.
Joshua, you were saying something.
We'll hear from you. It's always a beautiful dimension on what is possible, on what can be done, on how we can actually improve on the systemic flow in achieving this burst. I remember drafting the report of
Wi-Fi.
and we share it with the UN desire. I remember the emails, the responses they were giving us. I remember the kind of that they would love to hear more about this bridge to the future, because it looks as if that is next phase that they will be discussing about 81st hunger, because they were finding a way to connect the past to the future. And what I declare to them is it's called connecting posterity to sustainability, because everything we talk about now is sustainability. However, the aspect of posterity, there has to be consequences of our actions. And if we think about posterity, definitely we are going to come up with the better policies. We're going to come up with a better plan that will enable participation of the 3 generations. And these policies is going to allow seamless flow of finances to those who actually require it, and those with the capacity of generating the finances, innovating finances themselves. Policy will not stifle their creativity. And that's one of the key things we discussed with the desert. And I believe it's going to be wonderful. And ladies and gentlemen, our time is first spent now. We're getting close to the end of this wonderful 90-minute session. Our last speaker for the day is a wonderful personality, Amina Hussein. Ladies and gentlemen, men and women, it's time. Let's get ready for the last flight of today's session. As I welcome wonderful personality, Amina Hussein. Amina, you have the floor now. Over to you. Sorry, you are on mute. You need to unmute yourself.
Bottom left.
Am I audible now? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Perfect. I forgot my computer has a mute button on there. So I'm going to start back from the beginning. So good morning. My name is Amina and I'm located out in Florida. So today I just wanted to share a powerful idea with you, an idea about how working together can make things much simpler to fund the sustainable development goals right here in our own backyard. The Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, are a shared vision for a more sustainable world. They're a global blueprint for a better future, covering everything to ensure clean water to providing good education. But here's the thing, while these goals are global, the real power comes from the local action. Think about it, a new school, access to clean water, local job creation, these all happen in our communities. Yet, making these goals happen locally needs money, and often getting money is incredibly complex. Funding sources are scattered, the rules can be confusing, and small local groups often struggle to even access these funds. This complexity isn't frustrating, it actually slows down our progress and makes us miss opportunities to truly transform our communities. We see money scattered, confusing rules, and local groups struggling to even apply for fundings. This leads to slower progress and missed chances to make a real difference. But there's a powerful solution, a real game changer if you call it, and we call it cross-sectoral synergy. It's simply about different groups working together on purpose. Imagine a government from local to national, business, charities, universities, and people in our communities all pulling in the same direction. Why is this so powerful, you might be asking? It's because we can all share the load. We can combine money, skills, and resources from many different places. We can share the risk so no single group has to carry all the burden if things go wrong. The collaboration sparks new creative ideas by following ideas for solving problems and finding funding. It leads to less waste as we avoid doing the same work twice, and it helps us streamline the process. And ultimately, it results in a much bigger, more lasting impact for our communities. Projects become more sustainable and they're able to reach more people. So, how does this actually simplify funding, you might ask? Is that think about it. It's a blended finance. This is combining different types of money, for example, a mix of government grants, private investments, and donations that can be used for bigger projects. Imagine a new community center built with city funds, a bank loan, and donations from a small business. It's also about creating a one-stop shop. So it allows you to be able to share online platforms for applying funds, reporting progress, and showing results. This reduces paperwork and confusions, and it's all about skill sharing, where businesses will be able to help local governments improve financial management, or even charities teach communities on how to budget. And it's a crucial when it comes to it. It's about smart government policies that makes it easier for diverse groups and investment partners to be able to succeed. Plus, when all partners use the same reliable information to pick the best products and track their success, it helps cut through the red tape and it bridges the gap between transparency and not having that. So, for an example, a concrete example is an urban farm project. Imagine a city wants to create a thriving urban farm to provide fresh food and jobs. A clear step towards the SDGs would be zero hunger for SGD 2 of zero hunger and SDG 11 of sustainable cities. It would allow for this old way to be able to separate small grants in different groups, leading to a fragmented approach. So by utilizing the collaborative approach, you'll be able to utilize a few different things. The city government would be able to provide the vacant land and set up friendly rules to allow for the farm to be able to be sustainable. Local businesses would be able to invest in modern farming technology, and they can all agree to buy different produce and kind of just use the sharing method. Community groups and organizations and volunteers can help provide training and help run the farm. So it's not actually you're outsourcing, you're utilizing your own community to help with actually creating this farm. And then the universities nearby will be able to help with researching to help you research the best crops and measure different environmental benefits on how to go about with actually growing things. All of this can be funded through the One Clear Community Food Fund, and it draws from these partners a One Clear application and reporting process. This all makes the process a whole lot more simpler and a whole lot more impactful. So, what makes these partnerships truly successful is that with strong local leaders, people with a vision who can inspire and bring groups together, we need to make sure that we build trust. We build trust in open communication and clear understanding of everyone's roles. Having clear rules for how we make a decision, who is accountable, is very important and vital. Investing in building everyone's skills, especially around financial basics and how to work in partnerships, is crucial. Finally, you just want to make sure that you're able to show results. So, different ways that can be utilized to track progress, improve the impact of your efforts to attract more investments, is to just utilize a flexible funding model. So, we shift away from the one size fits all mentality and ideology and kind of just go based off of adjusting base according to what's the actual need. So How can you contribute is by just starting to look around your local community for potential partners, begin conversations, focus on shared goals, and not just your individual interests. Being able to just champion changes and policies that makes these collaborations easier and actually go out there and advocate for them and invest in simplicity, support the different platforms and support different ways to actually be able to streamline this funding. So together, we could unlock immense potential and make global goals a reality of our communities. Thank you for your time and attention.
Wow. 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 Awesome. 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 You see, Iko, I'm coming to you now. I'm coming to you. Joshua T. Bartlett, I'm coming to you, and everybody, I'm coming to you now. The reason this session is so important is this. Atsi, sorry, we just have to round this very well. Amina just did something substantial, something fantastic in achieving this SDG, especially bridging to the future. And that's one of the key things we've been talking about: the wisdom of the younger ones, the knowledge of the older ones, the innovation of the presence. How can we combine everything together to achieve the best, the law and the practice of bridging the future? And that's exactly what we're seeing. With what you've just earned, Athi, what can you say about what you just earned now, and how visible and how sweet can we take advantage of this wonderful and influential, magnificent brain that we just had? Over to you, Athi.
Right. I thank you so much, first of all, Amina, for such a wonderful readout. I think it is literally about creating that leadership amongst the young people. It's not about protection. It's not about guidance. It's about building direction based on what we already know as relatively adult people. I think it is about holding that space. They will make mistakes. They will learn. But I think it's really about holding the space in terms of getting younger people to become leaders. I can tell you this, that working at the UN, sometimes I think I'm literally talking to people so much older than me. And then I see that there's a gap in terms of the applied wisdom. And for me, it's very confusing that it wasn't my fault that I was born, before you or after you, right? So why should I suffer because of that? I mean, clearly, sorry about that. But clearly, I mean, if you were to strip all, fluff from the reality, this is what it is. It is. The younger people have an amazing perspective. Their conditioning is completely different from the conditioning of the generations before them. Right. So, but they struggle to get into the right spaces with the right kind of headspace. Most of the time, they have to first get into activism, and that's where the illusion is broken, and it continues. And that's how it gets contributed. The whole that intergenerational trauma system gets, enriched, unfortunately. Dr. Chakrabarti.
Awesome.
Just to
awesome.
add,
Yeah,
okay. Just a
doctor, you saying something, right?
Yeah. So I think I'm really I got sucked into the narrative by Amina Hussain, and I'm thinking that the key skill we need to magnify is interdependence. I think one thing that we seem to be lacking is not ideas. Like Aarti says, we do lack intention, but we need to learn to work together, and I think that's one key skill. Yeah. And Joshua, do you want to speak to that?
You can finish what you're saying, sir.
I'm done. I saw you resonating so well, so I thought maybe you could add to that.
Look, I everything that you all are saying, I agree with. And the thing is, going back to what I spoke about, the youth have the power to step up and create their own platforms to build their own communities. Truth attracts your tribe. I mean, if you want to talk about matching frequencies, matching energies, speaking the truth, your truth, whatever your personal truth is, you speak it, you're going to attract an audience. And the whole idea behind the platforms that I teach people to build, by the way, you don't even need money to do them, is to do that, to do those same things, to create your own community, because the world that we're going into is going to be drastically different. A world of smart cities where everything is contained within a certain limit, that the travel will be completely different, only the certain people. The way I see it is this: you're going to have two classes of people. You'll have universal basic income for some part of the world, and you'll have the creators. The creators will be the modern day celebrity, the people that teach, the people that educate, the people that step up and lead, the people that build community. They will be the celebrities of the new world. Celebrity will not be a dirty word. I mean, to me, just celebrity is disgusting now, because celebrity's been built on lies and deception and greed. I mean, I've worked in Hollywood. I know how it works. Like, don't get me started. But what I will say is this: those days are over. Now is the time for the modern day celebrity to rise, and those are the educators, the teachers, the community leaders, the people that speak the truth. And look, the fact is this: everything is going to be exposed anyway. In other words, there's not going to be secrets going into this new world. And so you might as well start telling the truth now. And your story can be the vehicle to create endless revenue streams. I know this from experience. And so, and I know I've built my own community. No one was letting me in the door. Mentally ill, been in jail 6 times, overdosed, an addict, very well documented about my dark past history, right? No one's letting me in through the front door. But you know what? I went through the third door. The third door is creating my own way. And you know what? I'm not the only one with a dark past. I'm not the only one that doesn't that didn't get access or get a fair shot, right? But that's not an excuse not to pursue your dream. Every single one of us were created for a purpose, a divine purpose. And yet we live in a world that basically distracts us from that very purpose, and it keeps us from the true nature of what we were created to be. Now is an opportunity for us all. There's never been a greater time in history for anyone to pursue their dreams. Yet 80% of the world is not ready for what's coming. And yet at the same time, all they have to do to get ready is just step in their purpose. And media literacy, digital literacy, that is a vehicle to create endless revenue streams and to create our own platforms, to create our own communities, to become that leader that you speak of and build community. I could preach about this for hours. I'll stop.
Can I bring in my brother from Niger, Aruna, to speak about his experience and what shifts he's chaperoned over the last decade or so? Haruna, if you can unmute yourself, would like to hear from you of what's worked for you. I really love the community radio that you helped build across 7 countries across the Sahel, and 70 community radio stations and so on and so forth. Aruna, can you unmute?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
Please tell us in brief a little bit about your story and what you've been able to do in Niger.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. So as you mentioned, I'm working in peace building process and the process of rehabilitation and reintegration of ex-combatant DDR. And I even was able to present a panel at the UN General Assembly in 2017 on the process of rehabilitation and reintegration. And I'm still working in this process. I even champion this process with a platform that we create, which is Peace by Africa. And the by Africa is a platform that brings together more than 114 local organizations from Niger, Cameroon, Chad, and Nigeria. So we are working together on this process of rehabilitation at this community-based reintegration of ex-combatant, and even working also on transitional justice, because we are in the context of the integration, and it is a very difficult process. I also work in this effort of bringing many organizations to work together and even make an advocacy for with the support of the UN Countering Terrorism Office. I bring together many organizations in Senegal where we make an advocacy on how to access to funding to the to the UN, because local organizations are suffering of the support on the funding because they don't have this access. We know what is happening in our country. We know the context. We know everything. But when it's come to funding, then the bar is too high for the local organization to access the funding. So you don't have this access. I think this platform is a good platform for us to see how we can make difference on the ground. Was what Shakri was saying, that I have the chance to work with a lot of community radios in Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, Chad, Cameroon, and Nigeria. And with that effort, I was able to bring, to give voice to those people that don't have access to the media, to be able to share their own view. Because when I make roundtable activities, we have what we call the call-in process. So the community call the radio and give their own feedbacks, and we take that in account. And we even create what we call technical teaching to youths, ladies, girls, and boys, how they can use their smartphone to make difference. And with that, I was able to make an advocacy to the presidents of Niger to reduce the impact of the negative impact of the state of emergencies that is making community very vulnerable, and the women are suffering, youth are suffering. But with that advocacy, I was able to, stop 119 traditional leaders for going back to Boko Haram, because they say that if the government did not respect them, they have to go back to Boko Haram because they don't see their value. But I work with them and develop this advocacy and share. So there is a lot of things that I was able to do. Now we don't have a lot of time, but I'm very available to continue discussion with you and see how we can work together. I'm very pleased to be part of this brilliant discussion. Thank you so much. And excuse my English, I'm
Awesome.
francophone.
Thank you so much for your work. Thank you so much for your work. And thank you so much for what you are doing for our country. You see, Doctor said we must learn to work together. And that's one of the beautiful things that is happening. Imagine Eco from India with Joshua from Orlando, Oklahoma, Orlando, if I'm right. So India and to Florida, all doing the same thing. Those are the beauty of financing for development. And that's one of the best ways we can actually bridge the future. We have 15 minutes to the end of this wonderful event. It's strictly 90 minutes, and we want to give 90 minutes because we're going to be submitting reports and the videos of this event to the desert in a few minutes. So we want to stay. We have interactive session. We'd love Joshua to ask Hethy one question. Hethy, we want you to ask Joshua one question. Hamino, you're going to ask Hethy one question. Hethy, you're going to ask Amino one question. Then we'll call it, I conclude this session, and we have the take one or two questions from one of our participants or our delegates, then we'll move this conversation forward. However, before we go into that level, our team made a statement during our presentation that Bridge to the Future, simplifying financial mechanism, is not meant to be just an eventful event. It has to be a ongoing conversation that we can actually build momentum around. And we agree with that. So we're going to be having series of these over time. so that we can have more people run these templates, bridge to the future. There is a particular, we just listen to a dynamic personality doing a phenomenal thing with the underserved in some part of our country and in Egypt. Such person needs help in order to advance such cause. Now, imagine if he has an opportunity to have a mobile phone on his end and have a seamless opportunity to use 5 clicks, that in just 5 clicks, the finance is on his palm. How would that one look like? It will advance his cause. And that's one of the beautiful things about this platform. And some of the key things that is coming on, some of the innovations that will be coming out very soon over time, is one of them is 5 clicks. That from where you are, anywhere you are in the world, in just 5 clicks, the financing, the funds that you require, the funds that you require will get to you. And those are some of the beautiful things that bridge to the future, simplifying global financing for sustainable development will do for you. Thank you so much. Over to you, Hattie, and over to you, Joshua. Who is coming first? You decide on your own.
All right. Joshua,
Beauty before beauty before, I can't even say it. Beauty before age. I'm sorry. You go first is what I'm trying to say.
Yes. So Joshua, do tell me a little bit about how are you, what kind of projects are you doing with DoTheDream, and how does this association work? Because I'm sure that there'll be a lot of people across the globe who are partnering, from different countries. And how do you sit together?
Well, right now I've been providing my resources through the curriculum that I created, Media Company in a Box and Bridge to Media Empowerment. But there's also Empowering the Underserved, which is another curriculum. And I just take those resources and provide it to the youth. We're working on some educational programs. Even though I have my own separate economic development vehicle, it's not meant for me. It's not like mine. I'm not saying it's not something that I'm taking on for myself. Like I want to give it away. I've been giving it away for 10 years and I'm here to serve. And so all of the tools, intellectual property and everything that I've been able to create and formulate over the years, I'm providing as a resource. But it's not about me. Like nothing I do is about me. It's all about the individual or the group that I'm working with and the role that I can play in amplifying their voice, helping them understand how to tap into their God-given gifts, talents, and their life experience to use that as their own personal economic development system. And when I work with individuals or groups, everything I do is customized to them. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. So I don't know how to answer your question other than to say I'm just here to provide support. I've been very, very blessed to learn every form of media through firsthand experience. I didn't get to learn through school. I didn't get to learn through paying somebody to teach me. It was all through effort, volunteering, showing up and serving. But by doing that, I was so blessed to be able to learn behind the scenes of every possible avenue you can imagine, everything from events to book publishing to movies to TV shows to events to podcasts, like even product development, like learning the process of, I actually fell into the entertainment world and the world of media through having a skincare line that was globally distributed. That distribution process, believe it or not, taught me how media distribution worked. So I've been able to be mentored and learn from some of the best. And with all of that, and then also studying Agenda 2030 and Agenda 21 and the Rockefeller Future of Industry report from 2013 or whatever year that was, I was learning all of those things. And so collectively, what I learned over the years through studying, but then also through volunteering and serving, allowed me to come up with all of these resources that even though my books are published, I host all of the intellectual property for free on my website to provide for underserved communities. Because again, who the people I'm called to serve, I could charge all kinds of money for the services I have, but I'm called to serve the underserved and bring solutions to them. And I was very fortunate to have people look out for me. I feel in my spirit that I'm here to look after others. So getting to work with Do the Dream, even though I have the role as Vice President of Growth and Development, I'm here to help spread their message and help grow what they're doing. The thing I love most about Do the Dream is that I can still help other organizations and we can help other organizations together because Adibasi and I and Do the Dream and the rest of the team members there, we have a global mission and heart for all. So just because you may not be a part of our organization, that doesn't mean that we're not here to help you and to help empower you. So I'm really just a resource and a tool, but also my soul's mission to do. So I guess that's the answer. I don't know.
Yes, it is. Thank you for that. That's brilliant. Okay, who goes next?
Mina gets to ask you something.
Oh, I get to ask a question now?
Yes. It's your
Okay.
turn.
Artie, my new friend. What has inspired you to have a heart for underserved communities and wanting to bring solutions to the table?
A very simple observation that when I walk in the place that I live at, there's a lot of greenery out there, but there are no fruit trees. There are no vegetable patches. And I wonder, why is this not grown in normal places for normal people by normal people? So it just panned out for me. The entire idea of the whole scarcity creation as an industry in itself, it just made me understand the state of the world, which is largely on the dark side. Privileged or underprivileged, we all live on the dark side of our own lives. So that just kind of freaked me out, and I said, "Oh boy, you got to do something about it." So I just jumped.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. Thank you, Amina. Just one question from you. We have 4 minutes left, 3 minutes, and we want us to keep to the time.
So
can you do
can I
30 seconds?
so can I just
Just one question.
so just any question to either or just to Art?
You said?
Any
to you.
questions or the question directed to Artie like we originally thought?
I can't.
All right, you ask away the question you have, Amina. You ask away the
Okay.
question.
So there's a big age gap between both of us. So what would be a good advice that you think would be applicable to all generations?
Oh boy, all generations. Well, just continue freaking wearing your heart on the sleeve. Go out there, get beaten up, and know for a fact that you're the best person to handle it. Otherwise, you'd be talking about somebody else going through it. Just be ready, because there are no guarantees, there are no guardrails, there are no safeties. You are born to discover the worst and the best of you. So make friends with that idea, and that courage will never leave you. And I think that's applicable for any age group.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. It's been phenomenal today, and I'm grateful to have come across great men, great minds like you all. Oh, just
just do it. I have tendinitis, but it just serves the moment.
Beautiful. I'm great to come across great men and women like you all. At the heart of every personality, every speech today is something that is common, that is unification, as the art for the people. At the heart of everyone is a central point, impact for the people. And for me, that's wonderful. few hours ago, I was ministering to over 400 people in a church. And I told them we are in the age of ideas. We're in the age of innovations. We're in the age of inundation, and we are in the age of ideas. I said the sequential one is ideas. The ideas must inspire you. The inspiration must give you, must push you inundation. The inundation must generate innovation, and the innovation must come up with what? Impact. And the impact draws the attention of people to you. And what I've seen from Happy to Dr. to Joshua to Amina to every other person who has spoken is the art of people, especially our friend who's doing wonderful work in the northeastern part of Nigeria, is the art for the people. And this is what DoTheDream Youth Development Initiatives stand for. Help you to find your voice and create a platform for the voices to be amplified. In the bigger conversation of this, we're going to be talking about why financing for development, especially Bridge to the Future, matters to everything we are doing. With Joshua empowering a lot of young people in Africa from Orlando, to Athi working magnificently to shape the eco-environment, coming up with eco-civilization. That's a big deal. And to Dr. and to Amina, bridging the gap. It's a message that something is needed to foster and win more people, to allow SDGs to be actualized and be activated at the local level. And that's what binds people that together, is what finance. We must crack and find a way to allow this to work so that everybody can actually fulfill their cause. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank everyone for joining this wonderful people. And to all our speakers, thank you so much for finding value with what DoTheDream has been offering. Bridge to the Future.
Yeah, that's like so. That's
The
always
internet monster.
We're going to be having a conference on this, whether in UN Geneva, whether in UN Vienna, whether in UN New York. We're going to be having a conference on this, that we're going to bring innovators around, IT technicians globally, and we're going to discuss more than this at the forum so that the world can know there's a lot of work to be done. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Adibusui. Thank you. Thank you.
Please,
Joshua.
let's put on our camera for pictures. Officially, we're done. Let's put on camera for pictures. Joshua, Ati, Amina, please, can you take us pictures?
What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. What are you talking about? Taking a picture with what? The screenshot?
Yes, screenshot.
Oh,
my picture.
Hold on, my view's all crazy.
Thank you, Mr. Stephen Bello. I can see you. Thank you for joining. Thank you. Awesome. Joshua, thank you all for joining. Happy, thank you so much. That's a wonderful session. We're going to be taking this to the next level. It's nice to meet you. Doctor, please, let's continue to have a conversation. It means a lot to us. And Happy, thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you, everyone.